All right. Well, welcome to Neighboring 101. This is the 54th or 55th edition. I forgot to look. It's been going on almost 4 years now. These are starting to add up. But on Neighboring 101, we have various guests and authors from around the country that typically join us live and talk about things related to neighbors and how it can improve our neighborhood and our own lives as well as our community. And today's guest is slated to be Dave and Jen Collier, who run a nonprofit organization in California, actually called Hospitality Matters. Um, and they are the authors of a new book called Roots and Branches, which also focuses on a practical guide for hospitality. Um, but in the absence of them actually logging on yet, let me give you a little bit of news, and then we'll see how well we can be flexible and pivot on this topic a little bit. We just wrapped up Missouri Good Neighbor Week. That runs September 28th to October 4th. I see Jennifer Profit just logged on. Jennifer's with the Hopeful Neighborhood Project and a key partner in helping make Missouri Good Neighbor Week happen. I'm going to put a little bit of an announcement and a link in the chat if you want to read the complete details, but we wrapped up the week with a little over 31,000 acts of neighboring documented. Jennifer, I know that's a little more than yesterday. It's because I had two county extension councils report their numbers last night.
That's fantastic. As long as the number goes up and not down, I'm happy.
Two that told me that uh, they didn't keep track. They didn't, they'd have to ask around. They probably wouldn't bother reporting this year, and then they got around to it last night. So, uh, yeah, so 31,000. I think we were close to 20,000 last year, 19,800, I think. And so we blew that out of the water this year thanks to much stronger participation from county extension councils and really strong participation from cities. We had I think 13 cities in Missouri that did kind of citywide campaigns and efforts during Missouri Good Neighbor Week, and those things really added up. And a part of getting those cities involved was we formulated a process where we kept track of numbers and nominations and acts of neighboring, a little bit on proclamations and news coverage, and a formula that helped us determine the most neighborly city in Missouri. This was based on the size categories given to us by the Missouri Municipal League, and with the addition of an at-large selection that we felt like was a worthy runner-up that needed to be mentioned. And so those four cities that won, small category, Houston, Missouri. Small city category, Excelsior Springs. And Laura is on here right now with Excelsior Springs in her background of her video. Uh, Congratulations to you. Um, oh, anybody else have these senior moments where you draw a complete blank of where you're at? Um, Houston and Excelsior Springs. Oh, Sikeston, Missouri, that had a whole week-long campaign. Springfield, Missouri, and then the at-large selection was Ferguson, Missouri, which also had a citywide campaign for the entire week and several events. So congratulations to each of them, and Laura, especially congratulations to you since you're on here live and in person.
Thank you. I'm so proud of our citizens.
Guys did a lot, and you have been the champion for that. So I love that. Well, I don't really set out to do first time situations. This was going to be the class where we had someone on from California, which was going to be a first. We've done 36 other states. But right now it looks like it's going to be the first time we've had a guest stand us up. So, despite reminders, I hate that. I hate that for them and for you guys as well. Well, while we're on here, let's let's just visit a little bit about hospitality. I won't be able to do the subject the same as the Colliers. Um, they do have a podcast and some information online under Hospitality Matters. But when you hear that word, what comes to mind when you hear the word hospitality?
Friendliness.
Friendliness, yeah. Does anyone else think of Martha Stewart and fine china and seven-course meal and all that, or other things? What else do you think of then?
Dave, my love language is acts of service. So when I think of hospitality, I think of
Oh,
being of service in support of others.
yeah, I
Amen.
love that. I love that. That's a great definition. Have you written that one down?
Yeah.
I live it. I live it. I have it written.
Well, it seems as though when you say hospitality in a lot of circles, people break out into a cold sweat and their eyes glaze over because they do think of Martha Stewart or things they've seen on TV on these cooking classes about, big meals or preparing things. But that is really not what hospitality is at all. And the word ties back originally to a lot of inns that would be along traveling roads, even in the Middle East, where people could stop and be cared for or have a night to sleep or get a meal. Hostels is what we would think of as those. Um, then hospitality became more of an act that you did, but certainly hotels are a part of that root word and that idea of showing someone hospitality and caring for them. So making people comfortable where they're at. So what are some ways that you've seen hospitality practiced in your neighborhood or community? What are some great examples we can share? Or not so good examples, I guess.
When you mentioned it, I thought about how when I was growing up, my mother and her friends were part of the welcome wagon. And that's not necessarily hosting anybody, but it is greeting, new people to the community when our town was still small enough to kind of keep track of that. And they'd go over with a basket of homemade cookies or something, and it included a list of all the churches and activities like this is where the bowling alley is, and things like that. And it was just a cute little basket they put together to take to new people who moved to town.
That's very welcoming. Yeah, I love that. Does Welcome Wagon still exist? Does anyone know?
I would love to bring it back.
Maybe that's your business idea right there.
Well, it's one of them. I have a lot of ideas. I can't do them all, but I have a lot of ideas.
That Welcome Wagon PSAs or advertisements seem to be like on TV all the time. At least when I was growing up, when I was much younger.
Well,
The
one of the previous episodes that we had to do with onboarding. I forget what Raleigh, I think it was Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And she had taken the whole welcome wagon idea kind of online where people could go to a place and learn everything they needed to know about getting connected in Raleigh, which that was a great idea, which could lead to hospitality. Once somebody's welcomed in, then they have connections to make.
Yeah. Great example. Or some other situations that maybe some of you have seen hospitality put into practice or experienced it.
I got our neighborhood night out.
Just making connections through that
Making people
event,
feel welcome in the neighborhood.
making them feel welcome. Yeah. And in that case, you have welcome and safety as a part of that too, for neighborhood night out. Jennifer, should I ask how your Haitian food night went as an
Yeah, it
example of
went wonderful.
hospitality?
Yes, it went wonderfully. It's one of those examples of how you should just do something no matter how awkward it feels, because the end of the invitations that I offered was somewhat awkward and somewhat last minute. And and then we ended up deciding not to have people here, but have them in my neighbor's driveway, because that's where like people gather anyway, and the kids are familiar. It's less busy, so they can run all around, and that gives us what we ended up with is 19 kids and 10 adults for Haitian food on my neighbor's driveway, that I finally had to text him and be like, by the way, I just invited 3 more families to your house. And the mom wasn't home, but he was, the dad was, and it was great. And it ended up being a really great thing. And so it was good confirmation to me of like how, even if it's awkward, just like make yourself do something, and like people forgive the awkwardness in the name of community. But you know, the moms took all the kids home, and the dad stayed around they went to another house and did a bonfire kind of thing. I can't think of the name right now, but you know, a fire pit. That's the word I'm looking for. Fire pit. And so it was really great. So I guess that's an example of hospitality, and one that I'm learning. I used to think that hospitality, I think I assumed it meant you had to have people in your home. And it's really more of a posture of, you know, connection and welcoming. And that can be done on a driveway, which then just makes me do it a lot more often, because my home isn't always, I have kids in my home all the time, but like to host a dinner party, that's a lot. But I can cook food and walk it down the street, even if the invitations were kind of awkward. And my littlest dropped all the spoons on the way, so then we had to find new spoons. But that's okay. We did serving spoons, and we made it work.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking, David.
Well, I thought of you. I mean, you think people came for the food or for the connections?
Um, that's a really great question, because sometimes you can't separate it out, especially when it's somebody offering their culture. So because it was Haitian food, you know, they were offering, it wasn't just about like, let's eat together or let's connect. It was like, we were trying to share kind of a piece of ourselves.
Mm,
And so I think they came for all of it. Honestly, I think they came with an open mind to like, they're offering part of themselves. We need to graciously accept that. And the connection with each other, you know, and some of them were excited about the food. I don't think everyone was, but the kids all tried it. All 19 kids tried it. Lots of them had seconds. And so that was a cool connection point. We wouldn't have been offended if they hated it, right? But that like was a cool connection point with us and the kids too, because we, you know, really applauded them for trying it. And then they were really like felt really special. I think that they got to
mm.
do this new thing and were successful at it, you know, even if they didn't like all of it. Each of them liked a little different piece of it, but that was fun because it made them feel, I think, connected. We got hugs at the end, and you know, it was really sweet.
That is sweet. Chad, I think I see you have a question.
Oh, I was gonna give you another example of hospitality.
Yeah.
Whenever like we're hosting a birthday party, or we're hosting a watch party for the local, you know, sports team, that could be an opportunity. You know, if you're on a walk around the block, or you see your neighbors, you know, coming and going, just extending an invitation to come together to break bread and, you know, share some food and drink. I Googled it, what hospitality was. It says the friendly and generous reception and entertainment of guests, visitors, or strangers.
Reception and entertainment is in that definition too.
Well, that's interesting.
I'll throw in the chat there. One of my best friends growing up, he said, you know, he endeavored to treat anybody he was with at the time like they were his best friend, because in that moment, you know, there's nobody else around. You know, giving that person, you know, your attention and your focus is another way of showing and expressing hospitality.
That's good advice. That's intentional listening, isn't it? How many conversations have you had this week with someone while they were simultaneously texting on their phone?
Mhm.
That happens a lot, it seems. Well, that's a great definition that Chet shared. I'll just read the definition that the Colliers have here in their book because it includes a little bit more than that. They say hospitality is a posture of living. I think I hear Chet saying that earlier. Hospitality is a posture of living in which one engages another for the purpose of drawing them out of isolation and loneliness into a place of welcome and safety, so they feel connected to the world and they know that they have something to offer it today. That's a long definition, but it includes some key things: a posture of living, of welcome and safety, of drawing people out of that isolation and loneliness so they know they have something to offer. And there's lots of different ways to do that. We've heard several already. What are some other ways of hospitality? Things that you've seen or experienced or done? Yes, Don, thank you. Good advice. We don't always think about how we're interacting with someone, but becoming more mindful of how we are is something to strive for. Yes.
Yeah.
My motto in life is imagine that everyone you encounter today is wearing a sign that says, "Help me feel valued."
Mm, help me feel valued.
Mhm.
That's important.
I think
And
it's interesting in Chet's definition that they put entertainment, because in something, there's always, when you're in a topic, there's always something that's kind of niggling at you, like there's
mm-hmm,
something here I need to
mm-hmm,
kind of, and fun is one of those things that's been kind of niggling at me in this whole concept of community building. Because if you know me very well, which probably only David does in this, I am not fun. Like I am not fun. I don't know anything about fun. I am organized. I like a plan. I like to do emails, right? I'm not fun. I like to have deep conversations. I'm not fun. But if we're going to engage people, like we need to be fun, and especially younger people, which is like if we want our communities to keep building and we're thinking for the future, we have to be, incorporating, I guess, fun for everyone. But I think it's a value more maybe when you're younger than when you're maybe not. Maybe it's not, but maybe it's always a value and I just don't have it. So that's been really, like, I've been trying to think about that. Like, how do you incorporate like into a block party, not entertainment like a big band, but how do you make connection fun? Right? How do you make connection not awkward? How do you provide that element of fun in a gathering? And I don't know because I'm not fun, but it's been niggling at me that I should figure it out. But I don't think it's entertainment isn't, it's not just entertainment. It's not like just watching something funny. Like that's entertainment, but that's not connection. So how do I make connection like have a fun element to it? Is there
mm,
like
mm,
Jenga blocks that help you to get to know each other? I think that's a game that
Yes.
exists. Like how do we keep adding in some element of fun? And I think that ties into that hospitality piece because that's usually on the organizer. That's usually on like whatever you're opening up and inviting people into. Like what element of enjoyment beyond, could you add in that's fun for people? Anyway.
I think you just hit on it when you said Jenga. And I'm thinking now as you're talking and as you mentioned the Haitian food night, that hospitality, we tend to think of it as inviting somebody into your home, but by this definition, is just providing an opportunity for people to connect, whether you're organizing a gathering at the park in which you don't have to provide anything fun because the playground hopefully is there. But yard games, we had an event for Good Neighbor Week that was a national night out type of event. But it was Excelsior Springs Night Out Against Crime. We put out a tug of war rope, and the whole thing started with fire department versus police department. So that was super fun.
Yeah.
Then we just left the rope there, and different, kids tried to tug of war with each other, and then moms and dads tug of war versus the kids, and just leaving that rope there, provided an opportunity for people to connect and have some fun. We also put out a cornhole set and a bocce set. I forget what other, but we have a kit of yard games that the city provides for block parties. So yeah, yard games, I'd say, and we did have a giant Jenga, and that's always really popular too. So yeah, and you don't have to do anything but set them out. People will go play with them. They'll, get tired of conversation or whatever, and they'll look for something to do. And oh, hey, let's go build something with Jenga.
Yeah, getting people to connect. That's great. Hey, Jennifer, no, so you don't feel as bad. I have a friend in Springfield that says he is where fun goes to die. So,
Yeah.
it could be worse. And he is a very serious person. So, um, but
Thanks
just
in
as
the
you
comments forever, whoever said Jesselyn, I think, said she's on the same boat as me.
well, even as Laura was sharing that example, I was thinking about when I was in Colorado Springs this summer, going to some of their block parties. The small ones were much more hospitable. That's where connection was happening, where people walked in and somebody would say, "Hey, you need something to drink, or here's a plate, or here's a chair. Have you met so and so?" That's where all that was going on. I went to an event. It was called a block party, and it was in a neighborhood park. And there were some people that lived in that neighborhood that had a band, and they were going to do a concert. And I mean, they were really good. And there was several hundred people there, but people were not connecting. People were in their chairs. In fact, my wife and my sister-in-law and stuff were along with me, and they sat down in their chairs and listened to the concert. So that was fun. Folded up their chairs and left. They did not meet anybody while they were there. And in that situation, how do you make that more hospitable? Maybe if you're on the board of an association, and that at that event, the association had a table at the back, and all the board members were sitting at the table. How about getting up and circulating around, starting conversations, meeting people? That might be an element of it. But maybe there's other
Philip,
eyes to make it more hospitable.
can I say something, please?
You bet. Jump in here.
Okay. All right. Thank you. My way of showing hospitality for my neighborhood, where my block mainly, and then I may do around the corner or up the street or whatever. But I send out Christmas cards to the addresses, and if I know of someone dying in the family or whatever, I'll send out a card. So I send cards out. So when I do have a block party or whatever, they know who I am, and they know me from sending a Christmas card out or whatever
You've
the
you've done
occasion
some
may
things
be.
along to help build relationships along.
Yes,
So it's not
yes,
just like a cold call invite to a party. Yeah,
right,
love that. Love that.
yeah,
Yeah, just reaching out to people in their moments and helping build a relationship. Are there some
yes.
other examples of things people have seen or experienced related to hospitality?
I've got another one, David, to
Yeah.
I build on what Jennifer was talking about, and I think we've had this conversation before, specifically on name tags. I think hospitality in a large sense is taking care of your guests and anticipating their needs. A lot of times we have met people that we've forgotten their names,
Mm.
or you meet somebody right away and you didn't hear it well, or maybe they have an accent, or it's from another culture or language that is unfamiliar with you. But a name tag, with that spelling, can help you visualize it, better see it, and then that is being in service to them, in helping other people start a conversation with them. Taking the name tags, to another level. That oftentimes, folks are looking for icebreakers or ways to connect with each other. name tags could be, you could have stickers on name tags that would say, I'm a Missouri Tiger fan, or I like to play chess, or I have a dog, or I like to bike or run or knit or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
watch movies.
Mm-hmm.
And to help people recognize, some of the things that they do have in common that may not naturally or organically rise up to the top of an initial introductory conversation, but would help them kind of fast forward to talk about things that they already have in common, and help them, recognize that they have stronger connections and with each other, and be able to build on those shared interests.
Yes. You and Jennifer have talked about name tags so much that when we had our uh, block party on September 28th, I did name tags, and I had uh, and people we asked people to write two things on there. Do they have a famous relative? Yes or no? And so that prompted people to ask. And then favorite place you've ever visited. And I know for me, and from other conversations I heard all night long, the conversations focused on those two things. There was so much to talk about because people had visited some really strange places, and that fostered conversation. And then one of the guys that came to our block party, I've known him for several years. Turns out his most famous relative is Noah Lyles, who won a gold medal for the USA at the Olympics. And we're all like, "What? We didn't know. How could you're related to him?" So you learn new things about people, and it sure encourages conversation. So I love the use of name tags. It's a great idea that you guys have been pushing.
I want to add to that. So
Oh, hi, Nicole.
I David. So I practice the hospitality, I guess, if you will, in my neighborhood, but I also do it a lot for the school that I work in. And so the last 2 years, that was my job, was to engage families in our school. This year, I'm back to being a learning coach. So I really work with teachers, but I'm still doing a lot of the stuff to engage families. And we actually just went to a site visit in a school in Atlanta where they have buttons made for parents, and in this school they send the buttons home, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna just keep the buttons at school. But I thought this was so cool. So it has a picture of their student or kids, and then it says, "I'm the parent of such and such." And then we do a house system that's kind of like Harry Potter here, and so the houses are 4 different colors. And so it has their kid's house and their color. And then I think it has their name too. So it's just a way for when families come into the school, same thing, that they can be just engaged right off the bat and connected to people either that they might know their kids, but not know the parents, or the house system is really a strong connecting tool. So they can see who's in a house that somebody in their family is in. And so we're going to try it. So we're going to show the buttons off at conferences next week, and then we have a school-wide event in November and we're going to just kind of make a display that they can come in and grab their button when they come into things, and we're going to try it in November and see if it works. So, and the school we were at, the leader of it, he thought it was like the dumbest idea, and he's like, "Oh, there's no way people will do that." Well, I think the parents loved it. And so it's just become this huge deal. So we're going to try it here, but I do think it's it's a powerful way to just, I don't know, take that fear off of people just asking the simple question of what's your name.
Yeah, yeah, really breaks the ice. Well,
Yeah.
Nicole, while you're on here, how was your block party?
Oh, my
I
block
hope,
party was good. I would say it was a little bit smaller than it's been. But the same people are coming to things, so that's cool for me because I'm getting to where, I recognize them and can call a lot of them by name. We did have name tags at that. And so I thought it was really good, even though it was simple. I think Jennifer, I've heard you say that before. I do think just simple is good. I felt we've just been so busy. I really wasn't in the mind. I had surgery in the spring, which is when we've done the last couple, and I really wasn't even in the mindset to do it. it. And I had a neighbor stop me and ask me if I was going to do it. And so I said, well, yeah, we can do it. So we literally just put out flyers a week and a half ahead of time, didn't do a ton of promoting with it. I moved schools, so I don't have access to some of the stuff that I had, but I brought what I did have. And it was cool because I think once you start something, other people they take over, you know. And so in the past I've brought like a portable speaker and I didn't have access to that, but when I showed up on the street, and I hadn't communicated this part, the people, we do it in a cul-de-sac that it's kind of on the back side of our neighborhood, so it's not busy. And so I've kind of got to know the people that are in the head of the cul-de-sac, because I always make sure that, you know, we can have it and kind of do it in conjunction with them. But when I pulled up, they had I just had 2 tables I was bringing. And I mean, I really showed up like 5 minutes before the thing was going to start. And they already had tables set up. They had them lined with tablecloths. They had a great big speaker. Another lady had brought out her trash can. And so I just think that that's cool, because I think sometimes it takes somebody starting it, but then other people will take over the work, you know, because then they own it, you know. And I think that's kind of the power of what you were saying earlier, like when you keep it small, and it's not about entertaining, it's about connecting, I think then people will step into the role even if you can't do it and keep it going. Whereas if it gets to be some big thing, most people aren't going to want to take that on. I mean, if you want it to be something that sustains, it's got to be something that people can actually keep doing. So, but it was good.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Yeah, well, I mean, if you're seeing hospitality as entertainment or this big thing, or you got to clean your entire house and you've got to do all this stuff, those are big roadblocks that keep you from doing it if you're defining hospitality that way. But if you're looking at it as just an opportunity for connection, to be kind to another, a lot of those things don't really matter, right? It's really
So
more
where are you at, Nicole?
I'm in Springfield, Missouri,
Which neighborhood are you in?
in Chimney Hills, east side of town, not far from the
Early
mall.
Sunshine, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
well, we're off at East Battlefield, so yeah, not far from there.
Okay.
Yep. And I even had a
yeah,
lady, I had a neighbor who brought me, I thought this was super sweet, but she brought me like a bag of coffee. It just says a thank you for organizing it. So I thought that was kind of cool.
that's very nice. Very nice. Well, there's a quote in the Collier's uh, book here by Henri Nouwen, I guess I put that in the chat.
Nouwen.
Nouwen, are you familiar with him?
Mhm.
Okay, well, I did not recognize that name. He says hospitality means primarily the creation of free space where the stranger can enter and become a friend instead of an enemy. Hospitality is not to change people, but to offer them space where change can take place. And it's not to bring men and women over to your side, but to offer freedom, not disturbed by dividing lines. That seems to be relevant in this political season, right? To have people over, not trying to change a person, uh, make them a friend instead of an enemy, offer them space where change can take place. That makes hospitality seem really important, that quote. What are some other examples of hospitality? Any others? Is Nancy Williams still on here? Nancy's um, was one of the Engaged Neighbor winners from Missouri, nominated for all of her work in the Delaware Neighborhood Association, really over a long period of time. I don't know how many ice cream socials Nancy has hosted, but more than I can tell you.
And the lemonade crawl.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, share about the lemonade crawl. I always think that's so clever when I see you guys are doing that.
That's it's a funny story because it started out of the Community Partnership of the Ozarks funding. They wanted to do something the summer of 2020 that could be done outside, could be done safely, bring neighbors together as COVID was starting. So we applied for it and we started the lemonade crawl. And it's basically inviting everybody to set up lemonade stands. We map them out. We have awards for best lemonade, best stand overall, most creativity. We kind of change up the awards every year to fit who's there. And it's pretty much a participation event. Everybody gets something. So we've kept it going. For those of you in Springfield, you might understand our struggle in Delaware neighborhood to be separated from Roundtree, because everybody in Delaware, on the north end of Delaware, thinks that they live in Roundtree because Roundtree is like the great place to live. And so we have to fight the battle of, no, you live in Delaware. So 417 Magazine, the local sort of city magazine, wanted to do a story on it, and it probably took 3 proofs to get them to take Roundtree out of the article about the Delaware lemonade crawl. So we've got this ongoing thing, this competition between our service areas, which do overlap, and our neighborhood, which don't. But yeah, the lemonade crawl has been very, very successful. And in fact, Roundtree did do one this year as well. They were going to do it 2 separate days, and we ended up on the same day because of bad weather on one of them. So yeah, I'm sure we'll both keep them going and do kind of an expanded one in the future. It was a blast.
Imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Yeah.
Um, so when you think of hospitality, what comes to your mind, Nancy? What have you seen or experienced?
So unfortunately, the very first thing that comes to mind is that it's an education program at Missouri State University. I don't know why that pops into my brain, but because I know people in the hospitality department. And so that's kind of where I start thinking about it, the actual hospitality industry, not the hospitality of neighborhoods. But I agree with a lot of what's been said as I've been lurking. Just that hospitality is inclusiveness. It's intentionally making people feel welcome. That's where the industry part comes in. I think it's a customer service part from their side. But extending that customer service to neighborhoods and to communities, and using those same principles of making people comfortable and welcome, and feeling like their environment is clean if it's a hotel room, that kind of thing, or a clean neighborhood. You might also know, if you're in Springfield, that we have the Neighborhood Advisory Council, and it has 3 committees: clean, safe, and friendly. And that's kind of where the hospitality part comes in too. You need all 3 of those parts to make people feel welcome and included, and part of that engaged community, I think.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. Clean, safe, and friendly. That comes from some research that was done out at Purdue, I think, right? Out in Indianapolis.
I don't know that origin story.
I think that's what I recall. Because they had done a study of I don't remember if it was real estate agents or if realtors were involved in some way, but looking at what neighbors, people that moved into a neighborhood, what were they really looking for? What was most important to them? And those were the 3 things that floated to the top of the list. It was a pretty comprehensive study. Because you see that clean, safe, and friendly pop up lots of different places, and it's from that. Well, certainly the friendly part is a big part of hospitality. And well, one other quote that might help guide a little more conversation before we end today. This is actually from Mr. Rogers, which is, the go-to for anything on neighboring, right? But he just says, as human beings, our job in life is to help people realize how rare and valuable each one of us really is, that each of us has something that no one else has or ever will have, something that is unique to all time. It's our job to encourage each other to discover that uniqueness and to provide ways of developing its expression. So this whole idea of hospitality, yeah, it's that connection, and we've talked about giving people our attention, but also helping draw out of them what their really unique characteristics are. That seems like a really high calling to do. That sets the bar pretty high in my mind.
Patty mentioned that she wanted to make whoever she was with feel valued. And I've been thinking about that since she said it, that's a skill that Mr. Rogers had. When anyone was speaking to him, that person felt valued. That's a unique gift, to be able to make the person you're speaking to feel like they're the only person around and that they're valued.
Yeah. Even Francine with cards, right? To someone who, when they've experienced a death, you're saying, you are seen, you are noticed, you are loved.
Well, not
That's a
just
big part of
those
that.
type of cards. I send out Christmas cards. I may do Halloween cards. I just get a bunch of cards and whatever is going on, I'll just send my neighbors cards.
Yeah, there's great value there. And just letting people know they are seen.
Yeah, yeah.
Any any other thoughts on hospitality or how we pull the uniqueness out of individuals that live around us?
I'm gonna keep
And
thinking about how to make it fun. So if anyone has ideas, Jennifer at hopefulneighborhood.org. I'm still gonna work on stickers as part of this to add to the name tags. But I'll take all other ideas.
Well, I thank each of you for and I don't want to cut the conversation off if there's more to add. If someone else had another example they wanted to share on hospitality, something they've seen or experienced. Anything?
I was gonna say this is April. I'm in St. Louis.
Yeah. Hi, April.
Stressed. But I was gonna say, for some people as our neighborhood association meetings, we have them at 6:30 in the evening. And I said, if you're asking people to come out at 6:30, we need to provide, a meal for them. That's dinner time, provide something for them because they would have waters and maybe some cookies. I said, no, people can't have water and cookies at 6:30.
Yeah.
Provide some food. Unfortunately, Invest STL had these small community grants where you can apply for a grant for up to $2,000 to use whatever you want. You don't even have to be an organization. 3 neighbors can get together and apply for a grant. And so I said, let's apply for the grant so that we can provide a meal for people to get them out to the meetings. And every meeting, our police chief would come. She said, if I make any neighborhood association meeting, I'm gonna make this one because you don't provide food.
They said that
Every time, and it just seemed to make providing food seemed to make people happier, more joyful. Our meeting numbers went up once the word got out. Numbers went up. So we have music when people first come in. We have music going, and people can dance and kind of relax a little bit. And then we have the food laid out and they can eat, talk, and we even have wine. And it has just made such a difference in our meeting where people feel free to speak up and join in. And it has just been amazing. It's really been amazing. You have to let people know that you see them, like you all have been saying. Let people know you see them, you care for them, and you're going to take care of them when they get there.
Wow, that's a great example. April, I have not got to meet you in person. I'm pretty sure if you and I spent the day together, we could get in some trouble together. But you have
Yeah.
you have such a bubbly personality. I can't see how someone could come to your event and not feel welcomed or appreciated.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe it's just the outgoing
Thank
nature,
you.
right? And uh,
Yes.
so do you make an effort at those meetings when people are showing up to kind of work around the room and meet everybody to welcome them, or is that something that maybe you're
When
busy with doing other
always we
things?
ask people, this is your first time? Yeah, we ask
Yeah.
people, is this your first time? And then they stand up and they, say, yeah, this is our first time. And then afterwards, we go up to them and talk to them and, welcome them and tell them why we're here and why it's important. So, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's of great value. And but you have a welcoming presence, so that would be a really valuable part of hospitality for sure. Well, I apologize for our authors not making it. I'll see what we can maybe do in that regard, but I've really enjoyed the conversation today because you guys have had great examples related to hospitality, helping people feel welcomed, feel heard, feel seen, and some good working definitions of hospitality. Hopefully that helps you in your uh, personal and professional work and helps you in your neighborhoods as well. Any other announcements or anything that anyone needs to share before we sign off for the day?
David, thank you
right.
for all of your great work for Missouri Good Neighbor Week. I know it's a lot of extra work for you, and thanks to Jennifer and all your team who make that happen.
I agree.
Jennifer, can we say it's fun?
I can, but
Oh.
I mean, I've already sort of outed myself that I'm not probably a good person to find fun. But I like working with David, so that's
well,
good.
I like
He
working
laughs
with
at my
Jennifer,
jokes.
so it is fun, and it's been fun to see it grow. It's really fun. I think we've hit on something with cities, to see cities really grab a hold of this. I think that's going to be exciting to see where that goes, all in, helping spread the word about the fact that we need more engaged and connected neighbors with each other. So if that helps someone in the state feel less lonely or have a connection and get more involved, then mission accomplished. So thanks to each of you for the various ways you have supported the effort.
Thank you, David.
Well, thank you for joining in today. Good to see everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Have a wonderful day.